In this video, we're looking at the species profile for Geosesarma Hagen, more commonly known as the red devil vampire crab. These are one of the original vampire crab species to enter the hobby alongside Geosesarma denala. They're super bright red with yellow or white coloured eyes. They're relatively tough, and they're much easier to keep than some of the rarer species like Geosesarma notiforum. They're also anecdotally one of the more active and less shy species, which myself and a lot of other people have seemed to observe over the years of keeping them. But as always, your mileage may vary. I've bred over 1,000 of these guys now, so I'm going to share what I've come to learn about them. And I've also put together a comprehensive species list over on my website, which you can use to help identify any Geosesarma species you might come across. So check it out, it's linked in the description below. Geosesarma hagen is native to central Java, Indonesia, and in the wild they're typically found in tropical rainforest environments, near freshwater streams and other similar water sources. Even though they're mostly terrestrial, Geosesarma hagen need high humidity and a dedicated water source to stay healthy and happy. They'll also make tons of burrows all over the place to stay moist and hidden away. This is why dirt and soil is a super important component of any tank. They're also exceptional escape masters, so if you don't have a secure lid, they will escape pretty damn quick. And once they escape, they will die in a few hours if they don't keep their gills moist, so it's really important not to let them get out. While most red devil vampire crabs you see will be bright red with bright yellow eyes, they also have quite a few other different shades of colour. So sometimes you'll see them with a dull shade of orange or even a light shade of brown, and this is quite normal and can happen for a variety of different reasons, usually age, diet, molt status, so before they're about to molt and after they're about to molt. Stress is also a factor in this as well. However, if they do start to lose colour and slow down at the same time, something isn't right and you'll need to check their environmental parameters and their diet to make sure everything is where it needs to be. And just to mention, sometimes they may also have white eyes rather than yellow eyes, and a lot of the time they'll generally have some sort of a shade in between both. This is quite normal, so don't stress if you find a Geosesarma hagen with white eyes. Size wise, their body reaches about 2 to 2.5 centimeters. With their legs extended, they can be about 6 to 8 centimeters in total size, though some do get a little bit bigger every now and then. These crabs do best in a bioactive paludarium, so you want a setup that is 80% land and 20% water, and this is the ideal guideline to follow for vampire crabs. Here's a quick look at the environmental ranges you need to stay within to keep these crabs happy, and I'll leave links in the description to a detailed guide on tank builds and everything else you need to follow to keep them happy in captivity. And the most important thing is to make sure that if you're living in a colder place, you will need a heater as well. The behavior and social dynamics, just like most other Geosesarma species, Geosesarma hagen is semi-social, but like with all vampire crab species, males like to fight every now and then. It's just part of their culture, but there are ways to mitigate this, and tank design is really important. Older males are often challenged by younger males or more dominant ones, and you'll usually see them locking claws and brawling for territory or mates. Again, this is why tank design is really important, because they need a lot of complexity and line of sight barriers so they can evade and escape any potential fights. Interestingly, females are usually a lot more peaceful, but they will brawl if they are protecting a batch of eggs or any babies they might be about to drop. It's also important not to mix different vampire crab species. This is really important as it will increase aggression quite a lot, and there will be a lot of carnage, and crabs will die. It might not happen right away, but it does always happen. It's just a matter of time. This is the same for all Geosesarma species. So if you're completely new to keeping vampire crabs, Geosesarma hagen or Geosesarma denala are my top suggestions for a beginner species. They're quite easy to find, and it's also getting a lot easier to find captive bred specimens, which is a huge bonus. Captive bred crabs are tougher, more active, and they usually don't need to be shipped anywhere, so you can generally pick them up locally, which is a huge bonus. Just like all other Geosesarma species, hagen are omnivorous and very opportunistic eaters, and in the wild they'll scavenge for just about anything: plant matter, dead insects, snails, and tiny fish. But there's plenty of other things they'll eat as well. So in captivity, they'll generally eat any commercial crab foods or fish foods, but it's also a good idea to feed them fresh veggies, and live things such as crickets, worms, and even fruit flies are a good option as well. Again, I have a full video on stuff to feed them. You can find that on the channel. I always recommend offering a mixed diet, which allows them to forage as much as possible, and this just ensures they have the best colour, the most natural behaviour, and the longest possible lifespan. So for breeding Geosesarma hagen, they follow a classic vampire crab breeding cycle. The male initiates mating, which is always aggressive, then the female carries the eggs beneath their abdomen, then she releases the babies into the water once they're fully developed. Females can also carry sperm for an extended period of time, so if you do see them mate, you might not get babies right away, but when she's ready, she'll start the process, and it can take about 100 days for the entire thing to be complete. But as I said, it might not happen right away, and sometimes it can take a year and a half to see any babies in your tank. This is quite normal. So when they're ready, the young will hatch or basically be released as fully formed miniature crabs. There's no larval stage like some other species, and the female will always release them in the water or right next to the water source. After that, the babies are pretty much on their own, and they molt frequently for the first few months, so they will stay very close to the water section, slowly getting bigger and getting more confident. They're also super cannibalistic, will eat each other, and will also be preyed upon by the adults. So keep them well fed, and if you really want to optimize the survival rate, it's best to separate the adults from the babies, as the adults will eat them just as fast as they'll eat each other. Like most other Geosesarma species, Hagen faces growing pressure from overcollection and a lot of habitat loss issues in Indonesia. So supporting captive bred lines and sustainable trade practices is really important. Thankfully, Geosesarma Hagen is one of the more common captive bred crabs. If you can, spend a little bit of time trying to find some captive bred ones and take a bit of pressure off the wild caught specimens. So if you have any questions about vampire crabs in general, you can check out my website, which is linked below, or any of my other videos on the channel. But if there is something that I haven't covered, don't hesitate to drop a comment. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in another video. Cheers everyone.